Welcome to the C-Suite Mentor, the place where you will learn the tools, strategies, and mindset to scale your business sustainably and build a lasting legacy. I'm your host, Theresa Cantley. As a fellow CEO, I understand what it takes to scale a business to 7 and multiple 8 figures. It's not necessarily what you might think. It requires a complete shift in how you think, strategize, and execute key actions in your business. My mission is to help CEOs step back into the driver's seat of their business by optimizing their operations, empowering their team, and staying in total alignment with their big vision. So, are you ready to exchange everything that hasn't worked for strategies that will? You're in the right place, so let's go. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the C-Suite Mentor Podcast. I am your host, Theresa Cantley. How many times have you heard about succession planning? And if you've heard about it, when you've heard about it, do you think to yourself, either A, I'm not big enough to have a succession plan, or B, oh, that's only to transfer ownership of the business, right? Most people think of it that way. The truth is that succession planning doesn't just pertain to transfer of ownership of a business. Yes, it's heavily involved in that, but there's other things that you can do to have succession planning in your business at different levels, which we're going to talk about today. But I think it's important. This is an important conversation to have right now, whether you are someone who, owns a local business in your town, or if you own a small to mid-sized business, you need to start thinking about, if you haven't already, putting together 3 different types of succession plans in your business, which again, we are going to talk about. But and I think, as I said, it's critical to start having this conversation. It is one that people don't want to have, and I think one of the reasons why they don't want to have it or they don't want to do it is because they don't really know how to do it. And it doesn't have to be this, mystical, magical thing or this super complicated thing. But I think there are some core components to it that you need to consider, but also to really understand why it's important. I think if you understand why it's important, putting the plan actually together, or the plans actually together, it makes it a lot easier when you think about it. So I think, again, it's critical to start having this conversation, especially in the way that our ever-changing landscape of our economy and ever-changing landscape of various industries, in the world. It's important to have these different types of plan in place to make sure that the business can continue to thrive and run and be productive, no matter if leadership shifts or people leave or whatever happens. And I think that over the past several years, and now that we are going into our post-pandemic age, new challenges have come up, new uncertainties have come up. And there is one thing that the past several years has really shown us with these new challenges and all of this uncertainty is that we really need to have the ability to be agile. And when I say agile, I mean that we can shift gears very quickly. We also have the ability to make a pivot, to dig into learning from something that's not working, and really be resilient and come back from it, which is our ability to be agile and have resilience. So I think right now, a lot of companies have been laying people off, early retirement plans. We hear it all over the place. We also hear about a lot of small businesses closing, not being able to really weather the storms of what we've been experiencing. And you have a lot of people who want to retire. You have a lot of people who are changing jobs because leadership, I've talked about this on multiple podcast episodes, leadership is one of the things that I talk about the most. But we went from being fully transparent and really wanting to be better leaders and everybody coming together to being not transparent, and leadership has just suffered in this country and really in the world. But when, you know, with all of these challenges and changes that we have experienced and really have experienced recently, it's so very important that we really rise up and we really level up as leaders so that we can become more leaders, more aware leaders. Oh my gosh, listen to me. Missed a word. More aware leaders, and really, really focus on what's important. So again, I want to talk about succession planning. It is something that gets overlooked. People think that it's, I don't know, for some reason, a lot of people have said to me, well, it's expensive to put this stuff into place, or I don't really know how to do it. It's confusing. And the truth is, it doesn't need to be. So let's dive in. And I'm actually, this is something that I work with a lot with my clients, is looking at their business and determining what types of leadership or succession plans that they need to put into place, and then how we're going to go about starting to build these different plans. And it's funny, I was reading something, and again, these succession plans rely heavily on leaders in the business. You as a business owner, or if you have a leadership team, um, these plans really rely on you digging in and saying, what can we do to make this business better? What can we do to really build more agility into our business, so no matter what is happening, we can pivot very quickly? And I read a recent statistic in Forbes magazine that said that, which is very interesting, 70% of business leaders, 70, have cut leadership development and leadership training in their business for people. They feel that it is not an important expense right now. That because people are making so many cuts, they feel that, well, let's just cut the leadership training. Let's cut the leadership development. That is mind blowing because, as I said, what this world needs right now are better leaders. We need to really close that gap between leadership and employees, between business owners and employees. We need to redefine how we look at work ethic, like how we even talk about work ethic, and really redefine the cultures within inside of our business. I have a business mantra myself for my business, which is we build from the inside out. Because if we can fix what's inside our business, we can fix what's outside our business. But to hear that 70% are cutting it, that is mind blowing. Mind blowing. Because again, in order to create these plans that you need in your business, you need to have really good leaders. You need to have leaders that want to make a change and want to step up and want to drive the growth in the business, and really want to make it a better place for people to work. So we're just going to dive right in because that's just like an astonishing figure. So, all right, 3 different types of succession plans that you want to have. Number 1 is you want to look at your team and you want to have a development plan for your employees from the ground up, from entry level up. You want to make sure that you have employee development plans set, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, so that when someone comes in, if they want to stay at that entry level position, and some people do, that's okay. They stay in that position. If But at the same time, we can always do things to make sure that we are leveling up their skills and we are helping them to grow in whatever way they want to grow. It could be personal development, it could be skill development, whatever that looks like. So there's always going to be an employee development, an employee succession plan. Okay. Second one is, I like to call it a leadership succession plan. So again, as you're moving employees, as they're growing, they're shifting, they're stepping into leadership or a leadership role. As people move, you want to have the leaders. I always tell people, you want to be training and developing that next level leadership, because as you train and develop people, guess what? You also will be training or being trained and being developed to go to your next level, your next level. If I can speak correctly, my tongue's tied. But it's a consistent, it's that movement. And so often I've seen leaders, this is a toxic leadership trait, where people want to hoard knowledge. They don't want to share knowledge. They want to make it all about them as the leader, because they feel that if they can go to somebody and say, "Oh, I did this, I created this," and they have all of the knowledge, that it's going to make them look better. When in reality, it is a toxic trait in an organization, and it is a toxic trait of a leader, and really leads to bad leadership and employees getting disgruntled and frustrated. So in a leadership development plan, and making sure that you have one, you're consistently developing people that aren't in leadership roles into leadership roles, and you can have those different levels of leadership in your business. So you don't need to have a $10 million business to have levels of leadership either. For example, I have a client that I work with. They have their regular staff, they have key holders who are like supervisors. And then right after that, they have their level, he has his higher level leaders, the management in his business. So you can have different levels of leadership within your business. And really, a leader is someone who wants to inspire others, who wants to teach others, and who wants to make a difference. So they might not even necessarily have a title of leader, but they're showing up as a leader. And they show up as a leader if we do put those development plans in place to help them to grow their skills or to grow personally, okay, with their personal skills. So, your second succession plan that you want to build is that leadership plan. And then the third one is, of course, it's the one that everybody thinks about when they hear about succession plans, which is the ownership. So, what happens if you are a business owner and you are growing the business and you're getting to the point where you're thinking to yourself, okay, am I going to grow the business and sell it, or am I going to grow it and then develop someone to take over the role of being an owner? So a lot of times business consultants, when someone is starting a business, they will ask that question. I ask this question. What is your intention with your business? Is your business to grow it to a certain point and then sell it? Or is it to grow it to a certain point and then get train someone to, or take someone with inside the business and develop them so that they end up taking it over, or what is your intention? Okay, so having that succession plan in your business, so that when you are ready to exit, when you are ready to retire, and maybe you're never ready to retire, I don't know, or maybe you want to become a board of directors for your business, and just be like an advisor, but still have some kind of role in it. Whatever that looks like, you want to make sure that the business continues no matter what happens. All right. So we want to have those three different types of succession plans in place, no matter what size your business is. And you could always, if it's just you in your business, or maybe even if it's you and one other person, these are things that you could start to think about and build into that larger vision cast that you have for your business. This isn't something that you have to wait until you have a team of 25, 50 employees. This is something that you can actually build in now. Again, clear you are in your intention as far as, are you building this business to keep it and you'll be there forever? And even so, you still want to have a succession plan just in case. Or are you building it to sell it? Or what does that look like? So, why is all of this important? Number one, When you have a succession plan in place or several succession plans in place, you continue that growth mindset, the entrepreneurial thinking that you need in your business to make sure that innovation continues. It also helps to further the growth goals, to define and further the growth goals that the business has. So when you have succession plans set up, you keep you keep that innovation going. You keep people thinking about growth and forward thinking and future thinking, that entrepreneurial thinking, not looking at a problem as a problem, but looking at it as an opportunity. When you have succession plans in place, it just really furthers that growth mindset. All right. It furthers just the whole, it really keeps growth within the business, because that's exactly what a succession plan does, is it continues that growth. It continues growth of people, but it also continues growth of productivity. It continues growth of the processes in the business and just keeps the business, the momentum moving forward. The second thing is continuity, making sure that the business can continue to thrive no matter what happens. If you have no succession plan set up, and I have seen this with businesses where there was no succession plan, the owner got sick, there weren't any other leaders, or I've seen this where there were managers and leaders in a business, they got sick, and then it was like mega breakdown because nobody knew what to do. There were no plans in place so that should somebody retire, or God forbid something happen to someone and they get sick or they pass away, like, you never want to leave the business where there isn't a plan in place that has continuity built, that keeps things moving, that has continuity built into it, so that the business can continue should should some kind of an impact happen. All right, that people can pick up the pieces and keep going, keep the business thriving. Because remember, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're taking care of our people, our stakeholders, our employees, our customers, making sure that the business can continue no matter what happens. We saw this during the pandemic. A lot of brick and mortar businesses went to digital. All right, and even digital businesses, and I've seen this more recently, now, is a lot of digital businesses. People went into the digital business space, doing online coaching and online programs and you name it. And people who had their business completely online were now looking for ways to have live interaction with people, have come come back to, like, and I like to say, an analog approach, offline approach, because it was a way to help them to stand out. So we want to make sure that no matter what happens, that the business can continue, that leadership can continue. The fourth thing, or the third thing, is employee retention. When we have a plan in place, or we have these three plans in place to develop our employees, to develop our leadership, and to also have a plan for ownership, it really helps to retain people. It helps to attract really good people, number one, but it also helps to retain them. Why? Because they know that is there is growth in the business, that it's not like you come into a business and you just stay in that role forever and you stagnate. You come into the business and you have the ability to grow. You have the ability to, if you want to, you can continue to move up in the business. You can continue to develop your leadership skills. If you don't want to do that, but you just want to continue to grow your skills, you can do that too. Either way, growth really is evident in the business. That keeps people wanting to work there. And when growth is evident in a business, and you have the ability, you have that agility built into the business, it is inevitable that the culture within the business is going to be healthier. Why? Because when people see that there's growth, when people see that there is an opportunity, wait, number one, they see that people don't quit. people don't leave. People want to stay there. They like working there. They feel like it's a healthier work environment. People are going to they're going to want to be more engaged. When there are development plans in place, it shows that you care about people. And again, people are going to want to be engaged. When you have that entrepreneurial thinking, people are going to want to express their ideas. They know that it's a safe place to express their ideas. They know that it's a safe place to express their concerns. So you're going to inevitably increase employee engagement. They're going to want to engage. They're going to want to speak up and work, like get into a project and take ownership of whatever their role is in that specific project, because they know that all of that they have the chance to develop their skills, that they have the chance to grow. And that's important to people. So we want to make sure that we have these plans in place and we develop them right, because number one, it's going to keep people there, but then also it's not and attract them, but at the same time it's also going to keep them engaged. Okay. And the last one is that it stops the knowledge loss. When people leave, you have quiet quitting. And I heard tsunami turnover tsunami, something like that. I don't know, all these like crazy terms, and I don't know really who comes up with them, but economists, I guess. You lose when you have people that leave. And if you have someone that leaves and you don't have a succession plan in place, whatever knowledge they have, it goes with them. If if you have people in place who think that who hoard knowledge and don't share it with anybody and don't do anything to develop their people, again, should something happen to them, that knowledge goes with them. So stopping the knowledge loss is important for a business, because with businesses with the need that businesses really need to focus on innovation, and as markets constantly change, we want to make sure that we always have innovation at the forefront. We want to make sure that we always have that strong team at all of these different levels. Okay, and that they are sharing knowledge. We don't want it to be where something happens, and even if a business gets sold and people end up leaving for one reason or another, and again that knowledge goes with them, that knowledge loss costs a business time, a lot of time, energy, and money, because guess what, they have to find a way to build that knowledge back up. So when you have a succession plan in place, it keeps people engaged, it creates a better culture, but it keeps people, it retains them, it keeps them there, it keeps them wanting to learn more and develop more. They're part of co-creating the vision, they're part of co-creating the projects, they're part of making things happen, they're part of that growth, and they're part of consistently and constantly innovating whatever it is that you do, by learning more, by experiencing more, and sharing those experiences and sharing what they've learned with the rest of the team. So we want to make sure that we have why it's important. Growth mindset and entrepreneurial thinking will always be there, and it will continue to further any kind of growth goal that the organization has. Number two, it keeps the business continuing to thrive no matter what. If there's a change in leadership, if there's a change in ownership, if something happens within the business and they have to pivot very quickly and change the way that they're doing things very quickly, succession planning make sure that you can do that. Employee retention and boosting employee engagement and stopping the knowledge loss, all super important things. And as I just said, with the way that the market has fluctuated and what is happening with how businesses are being looked at, valuation versus cash flow, profit versus top line revenue, and how people are evaluating their businesses and what people are focusing on, and what we need to do to weather all of these storms that we've been facing, We just want to make sure that we have a strong team at all levels. And that's exactly what a succession plan will do for you. So you might be saying, okay, I understand why it's important. I understand the three types that I need to have. What do I do? Right? That's probably your next question. What do I do, Theresa? So I'm just going to give you three super simple steps to get started. Now, when it comes to succession planning, yes, there are some things, especially not so much at the employee and the leadership level, but when you start getting into what to do with your business and do you want to start grooming, start training some people inside your business. Maybe you have a long-term employee who has been with you, for since you started, and you've been potentially looking at them and saying, they might be really good to become a partner with me in the business. And then who knows, maybe be able to transfer business ownership to them. That's when you really want to have a conversation with a lawyer, like getting a lawyer, having legal documents, going through that whole process. That is important. This is completely separate from that. All right. All this is really, how do we start building the plans to develop the people inside of our business so that there is a continuous flow of growth. So, number one is, if you haven't done it already, please, for the love of everything, create an accountability chart, an organizational chart, so that you know, okay, who is on your team now, and you can kind of lay out that whole framework, the whole map of your business, and then identify where are the critical leadership roles. And if you have a gap in an area, you need to fill that gap. You need to find that right person. I am a firm believer in promoting from within, but if you need to hire somebody outside of your business, I've done many, many episodes, many podcast episodes talking about how to attract really good leaders into your business. You might want to go back and visit one of them. But for right now, we want to just take some time and lay out, what does your accountability chart look like right now? What does your business map look like as far as the people that give your business substance? What does that look like? And identifying, what are the critical roles in your business? Where are there critical leaders? People who direct operations, people who direct marketing, people who direct, maybe your business isn't that big, and maybe you only have one head manager and you have other people underneath that person. So looking at it and saying, okay, that person's a critical role, or looking at them and saying, okay, I have a knowledge gap here. We need to get someone else. Do I promote from within, or do we need to hire somebody externally? Super, super important in understanding how you're filling those critical roles. When you are going from 7 to 8 figures, or even high sixes to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, one of the key things that you want to consider are the people that you have in your business. Do you have the right leaders that will help you take your business to the next level? And also, how can you remove yourself from the day-to-day management so that you can focus on driving the vision forward? Again, I've done multiple podcast episodes on that topic, but for our conversation today, it's identifying where are those key critical roles. Okay. And do you have some gaps here that you need to fill and build that succession plan so that you're either promoting from within, or you're attracting that right talent into your business? So the second thing is again, it's assessing your internal talent. Once you have that map done, take a look at everybody. I do this exercise with clients of mine at least once a year. Sometimes we do it more than once a year. Sometimes we do it, depending on the business, we do it every quarter, where we're looking at our team and we're saying, okay, what does our internal talent look like? Where do they have skills? Like, where are their super skills? Where are their shortcomings? How can we get them some training? And how can we develop them? So you're looking at all of your internal talent and saying, where do we have gaps? How can we fill those gaps? Where do we really see this person growing? Okay, what kind of a role do we see them growing into? And then starting to create your plan from there. So your third step is what I call career paths, looking at it and saying, we've identified what our accountability chart looks like and where do we have critical roles? Where are we missing people? And then assessing your internal team right now and saying, okay, what are their strengths? What are their shortcomings? How can we get them some training? How can we get them some help? And then the last piece is, again, looking at those people then and saying, these are the people that we know we want to develop into those next level leaders. Okay. We want to keep them moving and, or just have a conversation with them and find out, hey, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you'd like to do? Do you want to grow into a leadership role? Do you want to, or do you really like where you are? Or are you like, what are you interested in? So looking at that and saying, how can I create a career path for this person? And if it's not a career path, then how can I create a skill path? How can I create a developing their skills to make sure that they're consistently growing? So we want to look at that and we want to make sure that we have those three pieces in place. And once you have those career paths created, the next piece is just executing with them and really walking them through that career path. And again, when you do the succession plan for ownership, you're still going to go through the same things that I just talked about, those three steps. But then the next piece is starting to get a lawyer involved, okay? And saying, all right, what would this succession plan look like? Is it going to be, I'm taking somebody internally and I want them to buy into the business, okay? And do a percentage of partnership. And then maybe over a period of time, they would get more and more and more ownership of the business until whatever you agree on, they would end up becoming majority owner, or maybe they would become full owner. But again, a lawyer can help with all that planning. What I want you to do is just to start thinking about these pieces, looking at your business and saying, where do I have some gaps? Where, if this person left, we would have a knowledge loss. The business couldn't continue. We couldn't pick up the pieces. I have a client who had one of his key leaders in the business had a serious health condition that happened recently. And because he had some succession planning in place, they were able to shift gears when that person was out, and this person was going to be out for quite some time. They were able to shift gears pretty fast, cover everything, and keep the business moving forward, keep the team moving forward without missing a beat, without having that leadership succession plan, that leadership development plan. They wouldn't have been able to do it. And previously, the leader that had been in place was one of those people that hoarded the knowledge. So should something, if that person was still in the business, they wouldn't have been able to continue when the one person had this health incident. So it's important that we put these things into place. It's important that we look at these pieces and say, what do I need to do to put these succession plans in place so that no matter what challenges happen, we can continue to be agile, we can continue to be resilient, and the business can continue to grow. So I hope that this episode helped you. I hope that it changed your opinion and your mind about succession planning. It's not just about ownership. It's about how do you want to build your business from the inside out? How do you want to shift and change and fix things on the inside so that you can fix and shift and change things on the outside to build a better world and leave it far better than we found it? So I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening. If you found value on this show, please follow the podcast so you never, ever miss an episode. And I would love, love, love if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for me. Even better, share the show with a fellow business owner ready to step fully into their CEO leadership role. because right now more than ever, the world really needs next level leaders. And by the way, did you know you can text me all your questions and get real-time feedback? You absolutely can. Just text the word CEO to me at 610-215-2838 to get connected. One last goodie for you before I go. If you're ready to scale your business and have a co-creator working right by your side, my C-Suite Mentor Program may be perfect for you and your possible new second in command. Just visit thecsuitementor.com to get started.